Hi, Ask an RDC here, and what are you doing?
It's cold in here.
What? No, it's 70 degrees. Don't touch it.
I'm just gonna turn it up to 72.
I sweat a lot, and I don't know if it's because I have overactive armpits or anything like that, but I used to have this one partner while I was in RDC, and she had anemia, which a quick Google search says it's a condition marked by deficiency of red blood cells. So what that means is that she ran cold a lot. She would always have a jacket on whenever we were working together. I have what I think is the opposite of anemia, and another quick Google search says it's this word. And that says when you have too many red blood cells. I'm not a doctor, but all I can say is I felt the opposite. I always feel hot and she always felt cold. So there were times that she would have a heater next to her with a jacket on, and I would sit there with a fan going at me, and we'd just be battling the entire time. I remember my parents would tell me a story about when I was little and I wouldn't go into bed with them, that when I was sitting in between them, they had to kick the covers off instantly because I was like a heater. So it's been kind of a thing I've been dealing with my whole life. And that's something that causes problems too when I'm wearing a uniform. Most of the times we'll be wearing NWUs, camis, or coveralls. So whenever it gets hot and I get sweaty, you can't really tell because it kind of hides it, I guess hence coveralls. But whenever I'm wearing NSUs or the peanut butters, then it really starts to show. And that was a problem I had a lot while I was in RDC. And I remember specifically, it was a big problem when I was going through RDC C school. You see, we had uniform inspections every week. Every Tuesday, we had uniform inspections. Each week, it would cycle through each uniform. You'd either wear your dress uniform, wear your NWUs, or you wear your NSUs. And I remember the first uniform inspection we did when I first went into the school was NSUs. Now, if you've been through boot camp, it's like a personnel inspection, but it's a little bit different how they set things up. We would set up in about ranks of 5, and it would be from shortest to tallest. And I'm a pretty tall guy, so I would be all the way in the back, which means I was going last. They would start with the shortest person. They would ask them a knowledge question, usually something that we would ask the recruits, like one of the 11 general orders or rank and recognition, or maybe a question specific to being an RDC, like when do you have to be there at Reveille and when can you tap the recruits? While they're doing that, they're inspecting your uniform, making sure it all looks perfect, all your ribbons, your collar devices, all that stuff. The problem is, I'm from the West Coast, California, where it's nice and cool by the ocean breeze. But in Great Lakes, Illinois, especially during the summertime, it is hot and muggy, and that room had no air conditioning. But for some reason, they thought it'd be a good idea to ventilate the room by opening up the windows. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. That just makes the inside just as hot as the outside, and humid. So I don't deal with humidity well. I run hot, I'm all the way in the back, and this is taking a long time. And I hadn't fully acclimated to being in Great Lakes, Illinois, so 10 minutes in, and I was starting to sweat. And on top of that, I was nervous because this was my first uniform inspection trying to be an RDC. So by the time they finally get to me, and I swear it was forever, they looked at me, and they were shocked. I got sweat coming down my armpits, my hands are all sweaty from staying at attention with my palms closed, and I got sweat coming down my brow. And the first thing they asked me before a knowledge question is,
Hey, are you okay?
and I kind of knew what they were talking about, but at the same time, I thought maybe there was something on my face, and I said, yeah, sure, why? So they asked me,
Do you need to drink more water?
and all I could think about is the fact that if you looked at me, I looked like a wet towel. I was clearly drinking enough water. So they asked me my knowledge question, which I was super stoked because I nailed it, but my ribbons were slightly crooked, and I had scuffed my dress shoes. So now I had 2 hits. Now, if I get 3 hits, I fail and I have to re-inspect. But I only had 2 hits. I was feeling good. I was like, okay, here we go. First uniform inspection. I'm nailing it. But then he takes a step back, looks me up and down, looks at my armpits, then looks me dead in the face and says,
Dirty uniform.
and gives me my 3rd hit. This has me shocked. And I look him straight back in the face and I say, are you serious? Because I'm sweating? And then he gives me a 4th hit
Military bearing.
because I was talking back. But that was upsetting. That was ridiculous. And that was one of the big times that me being, I don't know, a sweaty boy really had consequences to it. Over time, I kind of acclimated to being in Great Lakes, Illinois, and I didn't really sweat as much, so it wasn't really a problem. But it was definitely a thing that people noticed is I'd be walking around just doing normal mundane tasks, like sitting in a chair, working on a computer, and nope, there it is, sweaty armpits. But that was one of the times I found out that was going to be a big problem being here at RTC. And also, thank you to everyone that showed a lot of love in the comments for the last animation I did. Because of that, I decided I'm going to do a lot more while also doing the information videos. So thank you for the support, and feel free to like and subscribe and share. Hooyah Navy!